Welcome to the tutorial on how to stitch this gorgeous little happy dinosaur. The first thing we need to do is to cut around our stencil, and I would advise here getting as close as you can to the dinosaur so that you don't have too much excess paper to wash away at the end. Once you've centralized your stick and stitch to your garment, just pop a few little markings there so you know where to place it once you peel it off the back of your stick and stitch paper, and then we're just going to adhere it to the jumper as well as we can. Now we're going to start by doing the outline of the dinosaur, and I've picked the colour green for this. This is our apple green. To thread onto the needle, just pinch between your two fingers and thread it on. There's no need for any fancy knots, just a little tail at the end is fine. We're going to start with about 2 meters of this green yarn, and we're going to go in and start by doing a back stitch, and the back stitch is going to be for pretty much the whole of the outline of the dinosaur. This is a very simple stitch. It's not a complicated one, and it's very beginner friendly. Now if you like to make your life a little bit easier and you have the time, I would suggest just doing a little marking here so that you know where your next stitch is going to go. You could use a ruler and mark 1/2 centimeter each way around your dinosaur outline, and that way your markings are going to be nice and even and your stitch finish is going to be really, really neat. This is of course optional and you don't have to do it, but it does make life a little bit easier if you have the time to. So we're going to go in and start our back stitch. Now we're going to pop our needle into the first marking that we can see here. So this is our first dot, and we're just going to pull our needle up through that dot and pull it all the way through, but leave a small tail underneath, which is going to be our yarn that we're going to be tying off to later. So just a couple of centimeters underneath is fine. We're then going to take our needle into our starting point, which is going to be here, and we're just going to pull our yarn all the way through. We're then going to take our needle to the second marking, and this is going to be again approximately 1/2 centimeter away, and we're going to pull our needle all the way through, including all of our yarn. And we're just going to pop our needle into the hole at the bottom of that first stitch. And we're just going to pull that needle through all the way. And then this is pretty much how we do a back stitch. We're going to then again bring our needle down 1/2 centimeter away, pull our needle through. Sometimes it can be a little tricky with the stick and stitch. And then we're just going to again pop our needle into the hole of the previous bottom section of the last stitch and pull it all the way through. And this is it. It's so nice and simple. We're going to carry on like this all the way around the outside of the dinosaur's body. So following our markings all the way, we're just going to stop here and I'm going to show you what we do here. So I've just popped that last stitch in, and now because my needle is still nicely threaded with plenty of yarn, I'm just going to take it to the top section of this next part here. And we're going to continue with our back stitch just like we have been doing previously, and we're going to go all the way down to the dinosaur's toes. So now that we've reached the bottom section, we're just going to fill in this little bit of greenery here, and it should only really be about 2 stitches. And now we've got this little bit of greenery to do on the left there, on the left side of the foot. So we're just going to turn our garment over. I'm just going to snip this away, and then I've got plenty of yarn still left on my needle to complete that little section there. So we're just going to go in again with the back stitch, keeping a tail underneath to tie off to. And we're just going to take this all the way down again to the bottom section of the foot. And now that we've reached that section, we're just going to turn our garment over. Now you see here we've got two tails that are together and we've got one that's separated. We're just going to snip away those ends. The two that are together, we can tie those together in a triple knot now. And the one that's single and by itself, let's just leave that for a moment. We'll come back to that at the end. And so now we're going to continue in that pattern all the way around the dinosaur's body, now that you know how to do a backstitch and tie off. So we'll go up and around and do all of the outside, and then I'll meet you at the end. I'm just going to stop there a little bit before we continue, just to say, if you run out of yarn, let's just take the needle off that bit of yarn. All you need to do is thread on some new yarn. And then once you've attached your new yarn to your needle, all you're going to do is you're going to come up from about 1/2 centimetre from the last stitch you just completed, and you're just going to continue that back stitch just like you did before. But now you've got two tails there to tie together into a triple knot. Once you've done this triple knot, you're just going to snip away the excess ends, and you can continue stitching as if you never changed your thread at all. And here we are at the final stitch, and we're just going to anchor that one down. And then when we turn our garment over, we'll see that we've got some tails that are together. So let's flip that over now. And our needle that's still currently threaded, it's got a little tail there which we can tie off together. So anyone that's got two tails together, just triple knot them, snip away the excess ends. Now for these little loose ones here, we're going to have to re-thread those back onto our needle. And once we've done this, we can then do a whipped back stitch through our work, and it will just tie in neatly into the stitches there, and it shouldn't go anywhere. You can put a little knot in the end if you want to, but it should be pretty robust and not go anywhere if your stitches are nice and tight. So now that we've finished the body, let's look at the dinosaur's little feet. So for this, I'm going to put onto my needle approximately 1 meter of the grey yarn. You can use any colour that you like. And for this, we're just going to do a little satin stitch. Now for each toe, it's going to be approximately 2 to 3 satin stitches for each one. And as always, when we finish, we can just flip our garment over, and any double threads we can just tie off in a triple knot. So now we're going to look at the spiky bits on the dinosaur. Now for this, I would recommend using a contrast color. For me, I'm going to use a darker green. So I would suggest putting approximately 1 to 2 meters of the different color yarn onto your needle. And this is a very simple stitch. It's just a straight stitch. So we're going to start at the top of every little diamond or triangle. And we're just going to pull through all of that yarn. I'm having a little bit of trouble here, but here we go. And we're just going to pull that all the way through, making sure to leave a little tail to tie off to underneath. And we're just going to literally do a straight stitch to the left and to the right. And now when we flip our garment over, we want these two tails to be together. And if you want your garment to look really neat underneath, I would highly suggest taking the time to do this. So we're just going to do a whipped back stitch all the way through all of our stitches that we've just created until those two ends are together. And once they're together, you can tie them together in a triple knot. Now let's look at the dots on the dinosaur. For this, I'm going to be using my black yarn, and for this, we're going to be doing a satin stitch. Now, the satin stitch looks very easy, however, it can be a little bit tricky. So the way I like to do it is, I like to do it in two halves. So I start through the center and put my center straight stitch in there, and then I work right and then to left. So you'll see that I'll start here and I'll work on my right, and then once I've completed that section, I then move back to the left. And once that's all complete, we can tie off with a triple knot and complete it for the other two dots as well, exactly the same. Next, we're going to look at the dinosaur's eye and the little dot that they've got for the nose and the smile. So we're just going to put on approximately 1/2 meter of the black yarn. We're going to go in and do the little smile first. And for this, we're just going to use our back stitch, which you are a professional at now. So we're just going to do a couple of stitches here to create a super cute, happy dinosaur. And once we finish this, we can flip our garment over, and you'll see that we've got a little bit of a gap between our starting tail and our threaded needle. So let's just do a quick stitch underneath to bring those two tails together so we can tie them together in a triple knot. And for the tiny little dot for the nose, we're just going to bring our needle up, and it's just a very simple up and over stitch. So we're just going to pull our needle through and then take it back down again. And underneath, of course, as usual, we're just going to tie off with a triple knot. And the final part to this design is just the eye. So for this, we're going to do a little lazy daisy stitch. So pull through some black yarn, only a small bit. We're going to take our needle back down through the hole we just created and bring it up to the end of where that eye finishes. Wrap your yarn around and pull through to create this like little loop. It might be a little bit tricky to pull this through because there's quite a lot of fabric and the stick and stitch, but pull it through and you'll see that we've created this lovely little eye. We're then just going to anchor that down behind, so just over the top of the last stitch. And then we're just going to bring our needle up again, and we're just going to fill in that small little section just to make it more of a fuller eye. And we're just going to pop it into the center there, pull it through, and as usual, we will tie off with a triple knot. To remove your stick and stitch, you're going to need a bowl of water, and you're just going to submerge your jumper or sweater into that water, and you'll see that the stick and stitch will start to dissolve. This stuff can be a little bit tricky to remove, so you could put it under a tap that has one of those sort of shower nozzles and just put a bit of pressure on it. You can use lukewarm water. Alternatively, I like to just throw mine in the washing machine on a gentle cycle. If your stitching is tied off correctly, it will be fine in the wash on a gentle cycle. And once all the stick and stitch is removed, just flat lay to dry and you are good to go. You can add a name to this and make it look super cute. So happy stitching, guys.